Are you tired of constantly organizing, yet still feel like your home is cluttered and chaotic? You fold, sort, label over and over, and somehow, peace never fully arrives. You may be telling yourself the issue is disorganization, but after over a decade of working closely with older women to help restore clarity in their lives, I've discovered something deeper. The real problem often isn't what needs to be cleaned. It's what needs to be released. You might be organizing what's actually keeping you stuck. Let me ask you, have you ever passed a closet, a drawer, or a corner of your home and felt a quiet weight, a silent drain on your energy? It's not just about things. It's about memories, identities, expectations, and what-ifs. The clutter you see is often the reflection of clutter you feel. And here's the hook that hits home for so many women I've worked with. You're not living in clutter, you're living in emotional residue. In this video, I'll walk you through 12 things you may be proudly keeping in order, but that no longer deserve space in your present life. We're not just talking about broken gadgets or outdated magazines. We're talking about emotional anchors disguised as just-in-case items. You'll learn how to let go of what no longer fits who you are now, and in doing so, gain more than just space. You'll gain energy, joy, and even confidence. Trust me, letting go doesn't equal losing. It means creating room for peace. And before we go further, if anything in this message hits close to home, do yourself a kindness. Hit the like button, subscribe so you don't miss what's next, and most importantly, leave a comment right now telling me one item that you know is quietly weighing you down. What's one thing you've been keeping, organizing, or avoiding? Naming it is the first step toward releasing it. Take a deep breath. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're exactly where you need to be. So let's begin, and we'll start in the most familiar place of all, your closet. Because those old jeans you haven't worn in years? They may be doing more damage than you think. 1. The clothes you're saving for someday. Is your closet full, yet every time you open it, your heart sinks just a little? You see those jeans tucked way in the back, the ones that haven't fit in years but still hang there, quietly reminding you of who you used to be. There's that blouse from a special dinner a decade ago, or the professional suit from your working days, even though retirement came and went. These clothes aren't just garments, they're emotional bookmarks, silently holding space for versions of you that no longer reflect your life today. And here's a truth I've seen over and over again in my 10 years of helping older women simplify and reconnect with themselves. You're not just holding on to clothes, you're holding on to expectations, past identities, and often, pressure. I remember one woman, Judith, who showed me a beautiful dress from her son's graduation. It still fits, she said, but I don't feel like her anymore. That moment stuck with me because it captures exactly why decluttering clothes can feel so hard. We think letting go of the item means letting go of a part of ourselves. But it doesn't. It means making space for who you are now. These someday clothes, though organized and clean, often carry subtle emotional weight. Each time you glance at them, they whisper, "You used to be smaller, you're not quite there yet." Or maybe one day. Those whispers erode self-worth, making you feel like you're behind, when in truth, you've simply evolved. And that's something to honor, not hide from. So here's the shift. What if your closet only held clothes that fit the woman you are today, her body, her lifestyle, her energy? What if getting dressed felt simple, joyful, and freeing, rather than like a quiet negotiation with the past? Start by asking yourself this powerful question. Does this reflect the woman I am today, or the one I feel guilty for no longer being? If it's the latter, release it with gratitude. Let someone else wear it with joy. Donate it, pass it on, and celebrate your decision as a form of self-care. You deserve to open your closet and feel peace, not pressure. Take a deep breath. You've just made space for confidence to return. And as we continue this journey, let's move into a part of the home that may seem small but carries hidden risks: expired beauty products. Because if you've ever kept a bottle of cream, just in case, you might be doing more harm than you realize. 2. The expired beauty products you keep just in case. Let's open the bathroom cabinet for a moment. What do you see? If you're like most women I've worked with, there's a jar of moisturizer that hasn't been touched in 2 years, a lipstick you stopped wearing 5 birthdays ago, and maybe even a perfume bottle that's nearly evaporated, but you just can't toss it. And here's the hook. You ever hold on to an old face cream and think, I might need this one day, even though deep down, you know that day's never coming? We've all done it. We hold on because we spent money on it, because it once felt luxurious, because maybe, just maybe, we'll use it again. But here's the reality no one talks about. Expired products aren't just useless, they can be harmful. Over time, ingredients break down. What was once nourishing can now irritate your skin, cause breakouts, or worse. And yet, we hesitate. Why? Because part of us still ties our self-worth to how we once felt when we bought that product. A $60 serum isn't just a serum, it's a hope we once had to feel radiant again. But clinging to that bottle long past its prime doesn't bring the glow back. It dims it. As a wellness advisor who spent over a decade working with women over 60, I've learned that clutter doesn't only live in closets, it sneaks into beauty trays, drawers, and vanities. And worse than physical clutter, these expired items often whisper, "You're not worth replacing this." But let me tell you, you are. You deserve products that reflect who you are today, wise, vibrant, and worthy of care. And that begins with a simple but powerful act, clearing out what no longer serves you. Go through your beauty collection. Smell the lotions. Check the expiration dates. Touch the textures. If it's separated, smells off, or hasn't been used in a year, it's time to let it go. And here's the empowering part. When you remove what's old, you make space for something new. Not just a fresh jar of cream, but a renewed belief that you're worth the best right now, not someday. You don't have to keep holding on to the past in small bottles and faded tubes. Reclaim that space for confidence, for calm, for skincare that actually works. Because letting go of expired beauty products is about more than hygiene. It's about self-respect. And once you've done that, you'll feel something subtle but powerful, freedom. Now that your skin is finally breathing again, let's look at something else that might be hiding in plain sight. Pieces of jewelry that are broken, tangled, and quietly weighing on your heart. Backhand index pointing right next. The jewelry you keep in case it gets fixed. 3. The broken jewelry you keep just in case. Take a quiet moment and open that small box hiding in your drawer, the one filled with tangled necklaces, solo earrings, and rings missing their stones. You ever open your jewelry box, spot that broken necklace, and think, "I'll fix it someday," even though deep down, you know that someday hasn't come in years? As someone who's spent over a decade helping older women rediscover peace through simplicity, I've seen this more times than I can count. We hold on to these broken pieces not just because we think they're valuable, but because they represent something, an old chapter, a moment we cherished, or a version of ourselves we're not quite ready to let go of. But the truth is, these pieces, though small in size, carry weight. Every time you see them, they whisper things like, "You should take care of this," or "Remember when life sparkled like this." And those whispers can turn into emotional clutter, quiet reminders of tasks left undone, memories slightly too sharp, or beauty that faded long ago. If something is truly meaningful and you intend to repair it, let that be your action this week, not another delay. But if it's just sitting there, untouched and slowly losing meaning, maybe it's time to release it, with grace, not guilt. Your jewelry box shouldn't be a storage space for regret. It should be a reflection of the woman you are today. Imagine opening it and seeing only pieces that bring light, elegance, and joy. Not unfinished stories, but symbols of who you've become. If you find something too precious to part with, take a photo, write down the memory, or consider having it repurposed. It's not about forgetting, it's about choosing freedom over burden. Because every time you let go of something that no longer serves you, you create space, not just in your drawer, but in your heart. And once that space is open, you'll be amazed at how much lighter and clearer you feel. So, as we move forward on this journey together, let's turn to a kind of clutter that often feels harmless but builds up quietly, until one day, it feels like it's swallowing every surface of your home. Stacks of magazines and newspapers you swore you'd read someday. For the stacks of magazines and newspapers you swore you'd read someday. Let's walk into the living room, or maybe that corner by the bed, or even under the coffee table, where there's a pile of magazines and newspapers silently gathering dust. You know the ones. The cooking magazine you bought for that one recipe, the health article you bookmarked to read later, the weekend paper from months ago that you just didn't get around to. You keep telling yourself, "I'll read that when I have more time." But if we're being honest, that time hasn't come, and deep down, you know it may never arrive. These aren't just pages. They're promises you made to yourself, and promises left unfulfilled carry weight. I've seen this in so many homes of older women I've worked with over the years. At first, it's just a stack, then another. Before long, they're not resources, they're clutter, and the emotional toll sneaks in quietly. Every time you see that pile, it doesn't inspire you. It reminds you of what you haven't done, what you haven't finished, and and what you feel like you've fallen behind on. And that's not fair to you. Because the truth is, your worth has never been measured by the number of articles you've read or recipes you've tried. Most of what you're holding on to is outdated anyway. Information you can now access with a quick search and ideas that no longer reflect your current needs. So here's the invitation. Pick up that pile, touch each one, and ask yourself, does this still serve me today? Keep what genuinely excites you, and recycle the rest without guilt. You're not throwing away knowledge. You're releasing the weight of unnecessary pressure. Because a clear surface often brings with it a clear mind. And once that clutter is gone, you'll breathe easier, literally and emotionally. You'll reclaim your environment as a space of calm, not chaos. And what you'll find in that moment is this: your attention, your energy, your peace. They all come rushing back when you stop letting things pile up for a version of yourself that no longer exists. Now that we've cleared the paper mountains, it's time to head into a different kind of mess. The kind that hides in your kitchen drawers. Duplicate gadgets, tools, and appliances you once believed would make life easier, but now only make it harder to find what you actually need. Let's take a closer look at those next. 5. The kitchen gadgets you thought would change everything, but don't. Now that we've cleared the paper piles from our living spaces, let's step into the heart of the home, the kitchen. At first glance, everything might look fine, but open that drawer. Yes, that one. The one crammed with peelers, graters, garlic presses, avocado slicers, melon ballers, corn strippers, you name it. You ever open that drawer and feel like you're digging through a graveyard of good intentions? Tools you bought thinking, this'll make life easier, only to forget they even existed after one use. I've seen it time and again with my clients, especially those who once loved to cook or host. We accumulate gadgets not because we need them all, but because they promised us ease or maybe even excitement. That new blender attachment? It whispered, healthier mornings. The popcorn maker? Cozy movie nights. But over time, these things don't serve us, they crowd us. Instead of helping, they get in the way. They make it harder to find the one tool we actually use. And more importantly, they clutter not just the drawer, but our peace of mind. Because every time we open that space and feel overwhelmed, we're reminded that more doesn't always mean better. In fact, for most women I've worked with, it's the opposite. Simplicity brings confidence, clarity, calm. So here's what I invite you to do. Open every drawer and ask, when was the last time I used this? If it's been over a year, or if you had to Google what it even does, it may be time to let it go. Donate it to someone who might genuinely use it. Keep the tools that feel familiar, functional, and fulfilling. Imagine opening that same drawer tomorrow and seeing only what you actually love to use. No digging, no guessing, no guilt. That's not just decluttering. That's reclaiming your kitchen as a space of joy, not confusion. And it makes every meal feel easier, more intentional, more peaceful. You deserve that. You deserve ease. And speaking of things we once thought we needed but now rarely reach for, let's talk about handbags. The ones lining our closets in every size, color, and shape, some barely used, others just taking up space. Let's unpack the emotional weight those bags carry next. 6. The handbags that no longer carry your life, just your past. Let's take a gentle walk into your closet, and this time, look past the clothes and straight to the shelf where the handbags sit. Some are lined up carefully, others hidden in dust bags or boxes, bags of every shape, size, and color. Maybe one was a gift from a birthday long ago. Another, bought during a spontaneous trip or a sale too good to pass up. And yet, here's the question I ask so often. How many of those bags do you actually carry now? Most of us only use one or two, the practical, trusted ones that go with our everyday life. The rest? They've become more symbolic than useful. They no longer carry your essentials. They carry stories, versions of yourself that feel distant now. As someone who's helped older women reconnect with the lives they live today, I can tell you this. Holding on to unused handbags is rarely about style. It's about sentiment. I've met women who kept bags they hadn't touched in 15 years because it was from when I felt more confident, or it reminds me of who I used to be. But here's the truth. Your sense of style, your identity, your value, they're not found in a handbag. They're found in how freely and joyfully you live now. And that includes having a closet that reflects your present, not just your past. So here's a simple, healing exercise. Take each bag down, hold it in your hands, and ask yourself, does this serve my life right now? Not, was it expensive or did I once love it, but do I love it now? If it doesn't spark usefulness or joy, pass it on. Donate it, gift it, or sell it. Someone else might need it more than you do. What you're creating isn't just shelf space, it's emotional space. Room for clarity, room for lightness, room for a version of you that no longer hesitates over clutter, but moves with intention. Because every time you reach for a bag that suits your real life, not your imagined one, you affirm the woman you've become, confident, current, and completely enough. And now that your closet feels just a little more like a reflection of who you truly are, let's turn to a part of the home that many of us forget to simplify, the linen closet. Let's talk about sheets and towels. Yes, the ones you've been saving for guests, even though no guests have come in months. You may be surprised by how much lighter you feel when we let those go, too. 7. The sheets and towels you're saving just in case. Now let's open that hallway closet, the one packed tightly with stacks of linens, pillowcases without matching sets, and towels you haven't reached for in years. You may not even think of it as clutter. After all, sheets and towels are practical, right? But here's the question I gently ask my clients. How many sets do you really use? Most people find the answer is far less than what they've stored. 1 or 2 sets per bed, a few good towels per person. The rest? They're often kept out of habit or out of that quiet voice that says, just in case someone comes over. But if we're being honest, how often does that happen anymore? Many of the women I've worked with over the years have shared the same sentiment. I keep them because it feels safer. But the safety is an illusion. What these overflowing linen shelves actually create is visual stress and unnecessary decision fatigue. Every time you open that door and see the jumble, your brain registers work, items to manage, fold, dig through. And when you're older, your space should work for you, not against your peace. So here's what I suggest. Take everything out and lay it in front of you. Feel each item. If a towel is scratchy, stained, or hasn't been used in over a year, it's not serving you. If a sheet set makes you sigh or doesn't feel clean anymore, let it go. You deserve the luxury of softness, freshness, and simplicity. And if you're worried about waste, consider donating to a local animal shelter or community center. Many are grateful for used linens. The gift isn't just for them, it's for you too. You'll breathe easier every time you reach for what you actually use and love. You'll move through your day with more ease. And maybe, just maybe, you'll feel a little lighter every time you close that door, knowing that what's behind it is purposeful, not packed with maybes. And now that we've softened the space where you rest and dry off, it's time to turn to another quiet source of mental weight, the bookshelf. Let's talk about those unread books, the ones you keep meaning to read but never quite do. Because sometimes, the hardest thing to release isn't what we've used, it's what we hoped we would. 8. The unread books that quietly weigh you down. Let's shift our attention now to your bookshelf, or perhaps that little pile next to your bed, or the one tucked behind the armchair. Books are beautiful. They represent knowledge, growth, and comfort. But here's the honest question I often ask the women I work with. How many of those books have you actually read or truly intend to? At first glance, the answer is always hopeful. I'll get to them. But hope can turn into quiet guilt. You walk by the pile and think, I should have finished that. Or, why haven't I started this one yet? Over time, these books become more than unread pages. They become silent reminders of something undone, a small failure, a weight you didn't realize you were carrying. And let me say this clearly, your worth has never been measured by the number of books you've read. That stack isn't a to-do list. It's a choice. And if the choice no longer reflects your joy, your curiosity, or your energy, then maybe it's time to let it go. As someone who supported older women in simplifying their lives for more than a decade, I've seen how even the most well-meaning book collection can turn into emotional clutter. The book gifted by a friend but never opened. The self-help title you bought in a season of struggle that you've now outgrown. The novel you wanted to enjoy, but could never quite connect with. Letting go of these isn't giving up on learning. It's giving yourself permission to live without pressure. Keep the books that still speak to you. Place them where they're easy to reach, to read, to enjoy. The rest? Donate them to a library, a school, or someone who might find meaning in them now. Imagine the feeling of looking at your bookshelf and seeing not a pile of unfinished intentions, but a reflection of who you are today, intentional, clear, and free. When we remove what no longer serves us, we don't shrink. We expand. We make space for books that spark joy now, for ideas that match our present moment, not a version of ourselves we feel we should have become. And now that your shelves feel lighter and your mind less burdened, let's move into something that may seem small, but actually affects how clearly you see the world every single day. Up next, the drawers and trays full of old glasses, prescription, reading, and sunglasses that no longer work, no longer fit, and no longer belong in the life you're living today. 9. The glasses that no longer help you see, but still take up space. Now let's look at something seemingly harmless, often forgotten, but surprisingly symbolic: your old glasses. Somewhere in your dresser, nightstand, or a little case in the hallway drawer, there's probably a small collection. Reading glasses with scratched lenses, prescription frames that haven't matched your eyesight in years, sunglasses with arms that no longer sit straight. You ever dig through them and think, maybe I'll use these again someday, even though you haven't in 5, 10, maybe 15 years? As someone who's worked with older adults for over a decade, I can tell you, this isn't about vision. It's about attachment. These glasses aren't just eyewear. They're markers of seasons past. A time when you had a different routine, a different look, maybe even a different identity. But here's the thing. Just because something once served you doesn't mean it still should. And holding on to outdated lenses can sometimes cloud more than your physical sight. It can cloud your ability to move fully into who you are now. Every time you reach for your current pair and have to sift through 4 or 5 that no longer serve you, that's not practicality, it's noise. Visual noise, mental clutter, and subtle frustration you don't need. So here's what I invite you to do. Gather them all in one place. Try each pair on. Ask yourself, does this still help me see clearly, physically, and emotionally? If it doesn't, let it go. Recycle the frames, donate usable ones to vision programs, or simply release them without guilt. Because what you're really doing is creating space for clarity in function, and clarity in identity. You're saying, I choose to see my life as it is now, not through the lens of what was. And that act, however small it may seem, is a powerful form of self-care. Because when your surroundings reflect who you are today, everything feels a little easier, a little more you. So now that we've cleared the way for clarity in how you see, let's turn to something else that's been clouding your space, this time, emotionally: outdated technology. Old phones, tangled cords, printers from a decade ago, devices that no longer connect to your life, yet continue to take up your energy. Let's gently unplug from those next. 10. The technology that's long past its prime, but still plugged into your life. Now let's open that drawer, the one filled with tangled chargers, remote controls to TVs that no longer work, a dusty old cell phone from years ago, maybe even a fax machine tucked into a forgotten corner. You ever hold onto a cord and think, I don't know what this goes to, but I might need it someday? You're not alone. We all do it. We keep devices not because we still use them, but because of what they once represented: connection, progress, usefulness. But the truth is, outdated technology doesn't just take up physical space, it takes up emotional space too. Each item is a little reminder of money spent, promises to get around to organizing, or tasks we postponed indefinitely. And here's what I've seen after years of working with seniors: the longer those objects sit there, the heavier they become, not just in drawers, but in your spirit. They carry quiet weight. Not because they're large, but because they symbolize a time you haven't quite said goodbye to. And saying goodbye to tech can feel like saying goodbye to relevance. But I want to offer you this. You are not less connected when you let go of things that no longer connect. You're more free. So today, I invite you to pull it all out. Sort through the wires, the old phones, the gadgets you once loved but no longer need. Ask yourself, is this helping me or haunting me? If it still works and someone else can use it, donate it. If it's broken or obsolete, recycle it responsibly. And if you've been holding on to it because of guilt, breathe in the permission to release it. You don't need to be weighed down by the devices of yesterday. You've earned the right to live in the present with tools that simplify, not confuse. Imagine the lightness of drawers that only hold what's current, functional, and relevant to your life now. That's not just tidiness, it's clarity. And now that your digital clutter has been released, let's turn our attention to a different kind of emotional weight: keepsakes and memorabilia. The box under your bed, or in the back of your closet, filled with letters, programs, and cards from decades ago. Some of it you haven't looked at in years, and yet, you can't let it go. Let's explore the meaning behind those memories next. 11. The keepsakes you've hidden away, and the memories you haven't let go. Now let's go to a place we rarely open emotionally or physically. Maybe it's a box under the bed, a trunk in the attic, or a drawer you haven't touched in years. Inside are ticket stubs, birthday cards, letters from old friends, programs from school plays, a dried corsage from a wedding long past. You pick them up, one by one, and whisper, "I remember this." And you do because your memories are alive, not because of the item, but because of you. But here's the hook. When was the last time you opened that box not to add to it, but to actually feel what's inside? For many women I've worked with, those boxes hold more than mementos. They hold parts of the past we're not ready to say goodbye to. Not because we need the things, but because we fear what letting them go might mean. But here's a truth I've witnessed time and again. Your memories don't live in paper or dried flowers. They live in you. Letting go of some items doesn't mean you're letting go of the love, the people, or the moments. It simply means you're choosing to live lighter. And when we reach a stage in life where clarity matters more than clutter, this becomes not just a practical task, but an emotional evolution. So here's what I invite you to do. Open that box with care. Hold each item and ask, does this still bring me warmth, or just weight? If it still sparks something deep, keep it. Frame it. Share its story. But if it's sitting forgotten, buried beneath other forgotten things, maybe it's time to honor it with a farewell. Take photos. Create a small memory book if you wish. And then, let the rest go, not with guilt, but with grace. You're not discarding the past. You're preserving your peace. Because what's ahead of you still deserves space, and that space can't exist if it's already filled with things you've emotionally outgrown. Imagine living with just the memories that lift you, not the ones that linger heavy and hidden. That's not just decluttering, it's healing. And now that we've gently let go of emotional weight, let's visit one final spot in your home that may seem harmless, but probably holds more clutter than you realize: your kitchen cabinet. Yes, those mugs and cups you've collected over the years. Some are sweet, some sentimental, and most never used. Let's talk about those next. 12. The mugs that hold more than coffee. They hold guilt, nostalgia, and clutter. And now we arrive at one of the smallest, yet strangely most cluttered corners of the home, the kitchen cabinet. You open the door and there they are, rows of mugs and cups you've collected over decades. Some were gifts from people you no longer speak to, others from vacations that feel like a lifetime ago. One might have been painted by your grandchild in a ceramic class. Another says, "World's Best Grandma," in a fading font. And here's the hook. You ever open that cabinet and find yourself carefully shifting mugs just to reach the one you actually use? If so, you're not just navigating porcelain, you're navigating emotion. Because let's be honest, most of us only use 2 or 3 mugs at most. The rest are monuments to memory, just in case, moments, or feelings we've attached to something that hasn't served us in years. And that quiet moment of choice, of moving one mug aside for another, is more emotionally draining than we realize. It's a tiny decision you repeat every morning. And over time, those decisions, though small, take up space in your day, in your mind, in your life. As someone who's helped countless older adults simplify their homes and find freedom through clarity, I can tell you this. The moment you choose to keep only what you love and use is the moment your kitchen starts feeling like peace, not pressure. So here's a loving invitation. Take them all out. Spread them across the table. Hold each one. Ask, does this mug make me smile, or just take up space? Keep the ones that feel right in your hand and in your heart. Let the rest go, not because they're meaningless, but because their meaning has already been lived. Donate them to someone starting fresh. Gift them to a community kitchen. Or simply release them with gratitude. You're not losing memories, you're choosing presence. And with every mug you remove, you make room. Not just in your cabinet, but in your morning routine, in your energy, in the quiet start to your day. You deserve a space where even the smallest choice feels easy. And now that you've lightened the load from closet to drawer to cupboard, you've done something remarkable. You've started letting go of more than things. You've begun letting go of what no longer serves your soul. But before we close this journey, there's one final truth I want to share with you. Because this wasn't just about mugs or makeup or memorabilia. It was about reclaiming something deeper. Let's end with that message, one that will stay with you long after this video ends. If you've made it this far, I want to take a moment and honor something very important. You showed up for yourself. You didn't just watch a video about cleaning drawers or emptying closets. You took a step, maybe many steps, toward letting go of what no longer supports the woman you are today. And that, dear friend, is not a small thing. It's powerful, it's emotional, and most of all, it's healing. You see, decluttering often gets reduced to a checklist or a trendy habit. But what we've done together in this video is far more meaningful. This was about reconnecting with your space, your energy, and your truth. Letting go of worn-out clothes wasn't just about making room in your closet. It was about shedding past expectations, past versions of yourself, and guilt you no longer need to carry. Releasing expired beauty products? That was a declaration that you were still worth fresh things. Clearing out tangled jewelry and old magazines? That was you choosing clarity over clutter, presence over pressure. And the most beautiful part? Every drawer you cleared, every shelf you touched, every item you held and released with intention was a quiet message to your soul that said, I'm listening to you. I value you. I choose peace. Because that's what this really is, an act of self-respect, of self-compassion, of self-love. Maybe for years you've been holding on to things just in case, or because it was expensive, or because it used to mean something. And maybe you never paused to ask if those items still serve you now. But today, you did. You asked, you felt, and you chose. That's not just decluttering, that's liberation. And if you haven't done it yet, if you've only been listening, that's okay too. The first shift always starts in the heart. Take your time. Let the insights from this journey sit with you. When you're ready, you'll know where to begin. So now I ask you, what's one thing, just one, you're ready to let go of today? It could be a dusty coffee mug, an unworn pair of heels, or even an old thought that says you're not allowed to choose yourself. Whatever it is, I'd love for you to share it in the comments. Not just for me, but for others. You never know who you might inspire with your small act of release. Glowing star, and if this video spoke to your heart, if even one part made you pause and reflect, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another moment like this. Your support helps this message reach more beautiful souls like you, souls who deserve to live free, light, and unburdened. And finally, let me leave you with this. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about finally making space for what matters now. It's about choosing joy, simplicity, and alignment every single day, not someday, today. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm proud of you. I hope you're proud of you too. And I'll see you in the next video.